Here I am with my soilless potting mix, which I'm going to use to plant some cucumbers today. Soilless potting mix is basically made from things like coir, which is the outside husk of a coconut, and it's made to be very water absorbent. So what I did was I bought a brick of coir on Amazon, and when you add water to it, it puffs up. And it's a really nice spongy texture, okay? So I'm gonna take and I'm gonna fill my pot with moist potting mix. There's actually no soil in it whatsoever. And then I'm gonna just use my finger to make a little hole in it where my seeds are gonna go. So, and then I'm gonna take, I've got two different kinds of cucumbers that I'm gonna grow this year. One is a heirloom burpless, and the other is a straight 8 cucumber. And so what you do is you just get your seeds. Cucumbers, generally what you do is you plant 3 together, and then once they are big enough to be planted in the garden, you pinch off the 2 that aren't as big. Usually one of them's bigger than the others. So they say to plant them, if you're planting them in the garden, in a hill of 3. So I'm actually going to add a little bit more and take 3 seeds. Whoops, that went in water. And put my 3 seeds in the middle of my pot here, and then cover them up with soil. I've got a bucket filled with water. When I grow seedlings, it's best to water from the bottom rather than from the top, because their necks are all real gentle, and you can keep the nutrients in the soil. I do everything organic seeds. You don't want to pack it down. You just want it to be loosely in there. Stick your finger in, make a little hole. Cucumbers, you're supposed to plant them 1 inch deep. So it's important to look at the back of your, whatever it is, the seed packet, whatever you're growing, and it'll tell you how deep it needs to be, how long it'll take to sprout. So cucumbers take 7 to 10 days to sprout. So I will, let me put these 3 here. What I'll do is I'll water them, and then I will cover that up here with my, since it's 1 inch deep, I need to put some soil on top. And then after it absorbs water from the bottom, it absorbs as much as it needs. Once I can see that it's turned a darker color, so it's all wet, I'll put it in something like this. This one I bought from Burpee online. So the cover is very important because it keeps the seeds from drying out. And you can also use saran wrap that's how you plant indoors in a container. We'll just take a quick walk down to my vegetable garden. This is my garden, and you'll see I bought what's called deer fencing and put it up around the outside of the garden to keep the deer out. The bunnies still get in, they've chewed holes and they still come in. But you can see in this bed, I've got kale that I transplanted. I started inside, and parsley. And then these I started on the 18th of March as well, but I planted them outside because they're cool season crops. So here I've got Paris Island romaine lettuce. I've got a red fire lettuce. There's some spinach over here. I think this is actually the romaine. I've got 2 things. This is some kale. And then back behind me, I've got garlic that I planted in the fall. Garlic you plant in the fall, and then I'll harvest it in about June. And then here we've got strawberries, which are already starting to bloom, which is pretty amazing. These are May-bearing strawberries. And if you come around here, Kelly, you can see the blooms, and each of those blooms will become a strawberry.
Come in close so you can see the bloom.
You got a bloom over there to see?
Yes.
And then down here, ignore this. This is Brussels sprouts gone awry. But this is asparagus, which I should be out here.
Oh my goodness.
I'll come this way. You come around. I never harvested my Brussels sprouts last year.
So that's what happened.
But this is asparagus, and I should be out here every day now. I didn't realize it was already asparagus season. Breaking off the asparagus, and you want to get it when it's about to here as opposed to like this. Yes, asparagus actually takes 3 years before you can start harvesting it. And so what you do in the early years is you just let these grow. So this is a younger plant right here, whereas this is a much older plant. He's not wanting to break off because he got kind of too thick and tough. So this one I probably won't eat, I'll just compost it. But like this one's perfect for eating.
Oh, wow.
This one's still gonna be good, even though he got pretty tall. But you want them to be smaller than the size of a pencil. And there we go. They'll just snap right off at the place where you want to eat them. Otherwise the bottom part will be a little bit tough. So I'll probably come and cut this down. Carrots. So carrots need really loose soil. Otherwise they don't grow straight. So I've got them in this little pot. So yeah, that's about it.
You have a beautiful garden, Elizabeth. It's so fun to have a creative, crafty neighbor. Elizabeth is good at lots of things. She's a really good cook. I've had her food before. And she's a really good photographer. She takes our family's photos. So it was really nice of her to take her time out to share her garden with you. What's your
this is onion.
Oh, onion.
Yeah. This is green onion. But there will be more regular onions in this bed.
Okay. So what so really, when do you think you're gonna plant most of your seedlings? Because your seedlings look pretty good in there. It looks like they've...
Yeah, so our frost date in Cincinnati is typically Mother's Day, so like the 1st or 2nd week of May. The past couple years we have had very warm early season and a very cold May. So it'll really depend on the weather forecast when I'll plant, but everything that is, sort of a warm season summer plant like tomatoes and peppers, they will do much better if I wait longer, let them grow bigger in their little pots, and then bury them deeper in the ground and start with a bigger plant. So we could do another video on that later. But when it comes time to plant them. But the past 2 years, I haven't planted my tomatoes and sort of the post cold season crops until end of May.
End of May. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other things can be done earlier, like your cabbages and your lettuces. They will die out in the summertime. So when it gets really hot, when the other things start getting...
So leafy vegetables should be planted in the spring.
Early spring, yeah. I mean, we had such a mild winter that some of my kale actually overwintered.
Overwinter, okay.
Plant right there in with the garlic from last year.
Well, I learned a lot. Okay, so we're gonna say thank you to Miss Elizabeth.